Hi. So here's an old song for you, but a good one. Do you recognize it? You know, we're supposed to dream, and we're not supposed to give up. We're supposed to have many dreams, the destination dream, and but we have to put it in a category, right? We got a work category, the dream category, the fun category, the private time category, the personal time. Um, but so if you see, what I do is like if I just don't see things that I want to do out there these days. Like I want to have fun. I want to dance. I want it to be safe. I want to have people come out so we could talk and you know, um, you know, get stuff together. Like just the things that go along with the dance. Girls love doing that stuff. You know. And like I said, I like making money. I like what money can do. And I like helping people. I used to own a driving school, a very successful business up in Vancouver, and they brought in some ridiculous changes that had everything to do with money for themselves, and I decided that I was going to stand up for what was right, and yeah, that didn't go so well because there's some real evil people out there that will stop at nothing when it comes to money. And so, where there's a monopoly, there's corruption. Period. There's not even a second thought that needs to go into that. So any monopolies should be replaced with competition. That's the best. That's in the best interest of the public. Is competition. That's what makes business people better. That's what is the right thing to do, and that's what drives prices down for consumers. Um, one of the reasons I named this show Chicken and Biscuits is because I really, I'm 45 years old now. I have studied successful people for many, many years during my spare time. On a Saturday night or a Friday night, I've listened to educational videos, I've read countless books, everything from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Highly recommended book. One of the most successful selling books of all time on how to become rich. And Robert Kiyosaki. Like my mentors are Robert Kiyosaki, Napoleon Hill, Henry Ford, Carnegie, Warren Buffett. You could listen to Warren Buffett talk on YouTube. And Will Smith is another. He was raised by his grandparents, and I believe in many instances, when you're raised by grandparents, they have wisdom. And he seems like a very wise soul. Yes, he's very, very successful. And more importantly, he shares his wisdom and his knowledge. And there's so many people suffering out there, like emotionally suffering, and I believe in my heart of hearts that God didn't intend it to be like it has become. You know, um, I think that when you accept God into your life and you talk to Him every day, and it's not about just showing up at church on a Sunday and forgetting about every crappy thing that you did during the week. I think that, if you talk to Him every day, He can do wonders in your life. I had a dream to live in the sun part of the time, and I'm able to do that. And that's a huge dream for where I came from. I came from not only the hood, I came from a street in the hood that you don't want to say that you live on, that you're humiliated. But when you're a child, you don't have any money, what are you going to do? You don't have any money, or you're just a kid, where are you going to go? And it was really hard for not just me. There was a lot of people on the street that I lived on that took the heat because our parents, in some cases, like when my parents were together, they didn't have to live on that street. They were both blue collar, and they could have afforded to live somebody else, but they were just, pardon the saying, just whores to money. I don't know how else to I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I should say, and I don't know how else to say it without saying that. It was a different time back then, right? I get that. The industrial age. It wasn't the age it is now of information. Um, when I was a teenager, the internet wasn't around, let alone when my parents were younger. I believe that's why God said, I have to do something, because those that are making it, they're not sharing. They're greed, and they're not going back for the others, and they're not making it better for them. And yet they pray for my help. I help them get there, and then they forget about my other children. So I think that's why he came up with, the operating system, Windows. And so when Gates was sitting there and his parents said, "What are you doing?" So I'm thinking. And they were just kind of bewildered why he kept just sitting there thinking, And you certainly don't get anywhere in this life getting rich unless you stop and do some thinking. That's for sure. And it's not going to happen unless people realize, like, when he thought, like, our minds are like sending and receiving stations, right? So he thought, what if this was a way for people to connect? And then the answers came from above. They came from God, right? And then when you go in the direction of your dream, and he had a dream of doing this, and you go in that direction, you find out what the world requires, and the formula is you find out what the world requires. God will bring, that's faith. God will bring the people into your life to make things happen. And it's a spiritual responsibility that we all have, with God. And uh, so really the internet, the information was brought to be by God, and he should get more recognition from Gates and Paul Allen and all of us, because I really think it was a way for people like myself from the hood that really had a shot, and that's what I used. I utilized the internet to educate myself. I learned about marketing. I learned how to advertise. I learned how to start websites from, you know, uh, I learned, I had somebody that I taught how to drive. She was a bit older girl in her 20s. I was in my 30s at the time, and we became friends afterwards. And she actually taught me how to dream work, and we did. Um, we did. I I always like hearing the end of the song. It's just such an incredible talent. So if anybody out there is, sometimes I lose my train of thought. If anybody out there is looking for resources to start a business, one of the things that you should learn is how to market. And that's how to get your product to the public. So I would recommend going to listen, no, we did that. One of the things I recommend is going on the website called tightwadmarketing.com. I learned a lot from there. The most effective marketing tool uh, still is postcards in people's mailboxes. So that's very effective. And also, of course, uh, if you're found on Google when somebody does the search. Um, there's That's very specialized knowledge that people should learn how to do that, to have your website ranked on the first page in Google without paying for it. Because, Google was a multi-billion-dollar value company even before they started advertising, before it's supposed to be a search engine, in my view. And my opinion is this: when you're a multi-billion-dollar company, um, I mean, there's some social responsibility to think of, that mom and pop, that small business owner that doesn't have the dollars to compete with the big guys, yet still provide a really good service, sometimes a better service. And when you've gone from you have your market value from being a reliable search engine. So when you move from that to an advertiser, I just don't think that you should have the same market value, because what happens is when be in, let's say, 2005, if you do a search for a local driving school, it's going to bring up the most relevant, up to date website with the most uh, relevant content. But now somebody can put this lousy website together and pay to get ahead of that other one. I have a real issue with this. It drives me crazy. It really does. As a business person and as somebody that has studied people and companies for years, I have a real big issue with this, because it's really hard for people out there now, and you know, and I just don't think it's right that they're doing that. Um, so I better end this video because it's getting a bit long. Okay.